Hello everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. Today will be my game week 15 team selection. I'll run you through my worst game week of all time in game week 14, and I'll run you through what I'm going to plan on doing to revive this in game week 15 as we look forward to 5 free transfers in game week 16. Let's get straight into it. So when I say the worst game week of all time for me, I mean it. 130k in the world to 500k, 38 points. And a game week rank of 11 million. Lads, there is 12 million players that play FPL. I finished 11 million for the game week. Anyway, this is not going to be all doom and gloom, and I do apologize for the late upload. Again, two team selections in one game week, and I am recording this on my lunch break, so I do apologize for the late upload, but it is not going to be all doom and gloom because I'm quite optimistic, of course, for anyone who knows me as a manager, and I'm actually not disappointed with my picks. It's just, for me, the outcome wasn't there. I've made one particular mistake, and I'll take this on the chin. I think I can finally call this a mistake. Mo Salah again benched, and that was just poor decision making from myself. All the signs were there in game week 13 after his benching. I just did not foresee another benching. I think that did come as a surprise for many, but with his poor form, his price tag, it's just been a poor decision by me. And it was a gamble I was willing to take in game week 14, and one that I heavily regretted going as the game week was going on. You would have seen on Twitter, I posted a satire post about, calling out the Bruno owners. And that was just me. Like, I could tell as soon as Haaland started the game week off with his haul, and I just felt like, it was over by then and there was no hope with Salah. Unfortunately enough, Bruno actually started the game, which I didn't expect with all the rumours midweek, but 90 minutes for him in DEFCON. Anyway, let's run through some of my decisions this game week and park Mo Salah as a mistake, and we'll look at what I'm planning to do in game week 15. Of course, I had to play the Bravka because I only had one free transfer. I brought in Yankuba Minta, who didn't come up with the goods this game week. We started off the game week with O'Reilly and Anderson with an absolute shootout, 5-4 that game being. Um, and both teams absolutely going for it. But two poor picks this particular game week. I think long term, of course, they're good, and ones that have been so good for me. And one of those is Richards, of course, which another player I did not expect to start this game week, and he did. But who didn't was Jurriën Timber. Now, I was expecting that a few game weeks ago. I spoke about how his time for a benching was eventually going to come, and another injury, it looks like, for Mosquera. So Timber had to be brought on, and I do wonder how that affects him going forward. I don't think Arsenal can rotate anymore until the likes of Saliba is back, at least. Anyway, the defense was really, really poor. But onto the midfield, it gets even worse. Anderson got, I believe, 5 DEFCON the first time this season. He's not hit a double digit, and 5 wasn't even close. Mo Salah, who of course came on in the 46th minute. Szoboszlai, who got absolutely not in this game. Liverpool were just poor in this Sunderland game. Yankuba Minta not getting too much. With no Danny Welbeck up top, it was a week where we saw so much rotation. And Bruno Fernandes, of course, with the DEFCON. I won't hold on to my game week 14 team for much longer. Let's look at game week 15. Taking a look at my game week 15 team, I have Dubravka on goal, and he needs to go. I have 0.3 million in the bank and one free transfer. I think, therefore, you can note with that, unless I'm taking a -4, there's still a certain man in the team. But anyway, Dubravka. In terms of keepers that I'm looking to get, I don't think too many stand out to me. I quite like Kelleher at 4.5 million, and I just have the exact amount of funds to do Nick Pope up to Alisson Becker, a Liverpool goalkeeper who've not kept many clean sheets so far this season. Other than that, I could go Kelleher, and that would set me up a bit better in game week 15 or game week 16 when we get to transfers. But I definitely have a decision to make. I quite like Kelleher, and there's one other one other goalkeeper I quite like, and it's Aaron Ramsdale. What I don't like about this is I don't know how it looks long term. I wouldn't be confident in saying Ramsdale is Newcastle's first choice goalkeeper. Now, I do plan on bench boosting later down the line, but if that means I have to get rid of Dubravka and bench boost with Ramsdale, it's not ideal. So I think I'm more likely to go to a Quaveen Kelleher or an Allison with the fixtures to come. Again, purely playing the fixtures. And again, Brentford have the best fixtures out of the bunch. Tottenham, I believe it is Leeds at home next game week. So he's definitely on my mind. And it really depends on what direction I want to take this in game week 16. Looking at the defense, we've got Richards, O'Reilly, Anderson, and Jurrien Timber. I think this game week I'll only have doubts on O'Reilly getting benched. Again, you wouldn't be too surprised. I'd be very surprised to see Jurrien Timber be benched this game week, but Villa away is a really tough game, let's be real. And with the injuries Arsenal have, I just wonder, does that weaken them in the slightest bit? And Villa are, of course, Emery is a great manager. Always trust Emery against the big six, and Villa are just on such good form. You wouldn't be surprised to see them score versus Arsenal. Anyway, Richards, of course, probably been one of the poorer Crystal Palace's defenders. When you look at the likes of Aguehi and Minoz, who've absolutely smashed it out of the park. Even Lacroix, who has got bits and pieces and DEFCON almost every single game week. But Richards, for the value, again, like I say, I believe he's 4.6 million. As long as he's getting the minutes, I'm happy. O'Reilly, on the other hand, I don't know if he's going to start this game with Sunderland at home, but I'm not left with much choice, and it's quite frustrating. And I cannot wait for these 5 free transfers. But this will be my game week 15 back four for sure. It does mean benching Thiago, who goes away to Tottenham, which is not a bad fixture, of course. But when I look at these 4 defenders, I can't really just bench O'Reilly, I don't think. And I'm not willing to bench Timber or Richards for Thiago, I don't think, due to DEFCON, of course, for Richards, as long as he's getting the minutes. And Jurrien Timber, who always has a good chance of a clean sheet, even in a tough fixture with Villa away. Let me know if I'm making the wrong decision here and I'm playing with my heart instead of my head. But anyway, let's get into the midfield. So looking at the midfield for game week 15, again, Mo Salah is still here and I cannot wait to get rid of him at this point. Again, just on Mo Salah, again, it was a mistake. I can't say much more than that. And it is time to get rid of him. But I just can't do it this game week. Again, I don't expect him. I don't know how I feel about him starting this game with Leeds away. I think it's very unlikely, to be honest. It was a statement from Arne Slot to bench him 2 weeks in a row. It's very telling. And why would he start him with this game with Leeds away? Anyway, moving on from Mo Salah, who I don't think I can sell this week. Szoboszlai, he's not as good as a pick as I interpret him to be. Again, Liverpool have just been poor. Now, you might say Sunderland was a hard game, so maybe it's not fair to gauge him off a fixture like that, but Leeds away, he'll get an opportunity to show me what he's about. And going into game week 16, there are definitely 2 players that I'm considering getting rid of. And I think the easy route for me would be bringing in Saka and seeing what the likes of a Palmer's minutes are looking like then. If not Palmer, then I can go to a Semenyo, which many managers are selling now, but has good fixtures in game week 16 with United away and Burnley at home, I believe it is the week after. And when I look at my team, the way my mind is working with the rotation risk that is we're seeing that happen week in, week out now. And I feel like it will be a common theme going into the later game weeks as we get closer to Christmas. I want players who are going to play minutes, and the ones who are doing those, are the ones that are going to do that, are the ones who are not in Europe. And I think I particularly look at the United guys, so Bruno, which I already have. Mateus Cunha, who's really, really poor versus West Ham, will be on my radar. Again, I'll have to gauge how he looks versus Wolves, his own team, his old team, I add. And also players like Antoine Semenyo that I have mentioned. So, I'm just looking for a bit of consistency in my team. I think particularly when I have players like Richards and O'Reilly, even the likes of an Anderson, who are going to be, consistent 4-pointers here and there, and they might get the odd return, but I need players who are going to play, and I just can't risk the minutes for me. And with the likes of Mo Salah, I need to turn that leaf over to a small bit more consistency, which I've just not had in recent weeks. Looking at Anderson with Everton away, though, it's not a bad fixture. Again, I have to start him. He'll be a busy bee. It'll be a tough game at Everton's new stadium. And, Forest are on decent form, so I'm more than happy to play him. He's a player who can get bonus points even in a loss, so he has to play for me. Yankuba Minta with West Ham at home again. A small bit underwhelming in that last game. But I don't think it's any fault of Minta, who's been amazing this season, and I still feel like he's one of the best picks in the game going forward. So I'm hopeful going into West Ham at home, which is of course a great fixture. And Bruno, which no surprise to be honest, who played 90 minutes and got DEFCON. Had a chance here and there, but was quite frustrating owning going into that game week. But that's what we get with Bruno. We know he's going to tick away nicely, even if he doesn't return when we need him. And I'm more than happy to hold on to him. So let's move on to the forward line. So the man that takes the armband for me this game week is Erling Haaland with Sunderland at home, of course. Now, I'd have not too much to say on Haaland, of course. We know he's going to knock it out of the park most weeks. It's just if you can time the weeks where he's going to blank which I couldn't do last game week, you're going to see some massive upside. And it's just the way I play. It's no surprise that I'm going to see some poor game weeks and some really good ones, which we have seen in the first block of the season. But now, going into game week 15, I don't think there are any other captaincy options. When I look at my own team, I think Bruno is the only other one, but with the way United are, I just don't feel comfortable doing it. And as tough of a fixture Sunderland can seem to be, with City competing for the league, of course, and trying to chase Arsenal, I feel like it is a good fixture to captain Erling Haaland. I want to speak about some more general picks that I don't have. If we look at the likes of a Phil Foden, which a lot of people will be going towards now, I'm actually benching Thiago as well this game week. As we go into game week 15, I'm more than happy to wait another week with Foden. Again, this could be the week he's benched. Things are just all over the place in terms of fixtures and players' minutes. So I'm more than happy to just see what happens. Again, I don't expect him to be benched, but if he was ever going to be benched, it probably would be this one. And if he's not benching this one, I think he could be comfortable going into any single game with Phil Foden. And I do think he is still a phenomenal boy. But going into game week 16, I have to start planning now. My planning starts now. If I do the likes of a Nick Pope to an Allison, I have no money in the bank going into game week 16 to make 5 free transfers. Now, I know that doesn't look like much of a problem currently. But if I plan on getting rid of Mo Salah and bringing the likes of a Szoboszlai, for example, or Mark Gee or a Rodon up for my bench boost, if I have the likes of an Allison, that would be a lot of money on 2 goalkeepers. And I don't know if I want to do that just yet. I did speak about how I do want to bolster my team so I can be a bit more flexible going into these game weeks, because I did know rotation was inevitable. It was only a matter of time, but it's just about making myself flexible for the future and setting up this bench boost nicely, which I still feel like I'm comfortable doing. Going into the later game week 16, 17, 18, and 19. If you were to ask me now, I think I'd plan for 17, maybe 18, but we'll see how this game week goes. We'll take it one step at a time, and I'm more than happy with my team currently, even though it's not performed as I expected. And just looking at the fixtures in front of you, if I just told you purely on fixtures, again, keep in mind that I do have a goalkeeper transfer to make. I mean, I feel like I've planned well. It's just by the way things have turned out with Salah and Liverpool in general, there isn't much upside in those assets anymore. And with the rotation minutes at the back, it's just a mess. So I am looking forward to my transfers in game week 16. There won't be a watch list section because I just have a goalkeeper transfer, and this video is coming a bit late. Do let me know in the comment section if I'm making a mistake here, just making a goalkeeper transfer and holding on to Mo Salah. But I just feel like I've not left with much choice. And going into this game week, I feel comfortable, even though my team is not ideal, and I am looking forward to the transfers, like I said. So let me know some of your dilemmas in the comment section. Do like and subscribe as usual. And I'm going to leave it there and see you for a deadline stream tomorrow at 9 o'clock. And as usual, I will see you in the next.